Can I be heard?
You're very, very heard.
You're so heard.
I hear you and I
You're so
see
well
you.
lit.
I see it too.
I'm bothered. Wait.
What?
Emily is so well lit.
The irony of this
Oh, yeah.
this quarantine conversation is that you all live together and you
I
are
know.
in three
Yeah.
separate places right now. Not
Isn't that
practicing
ironic?
stay at home protocol. So
Stay at home, man.
Ow.
Mary Beth's in pain, Emily's alone, Corey's in her car.
It looks like we're very apart.
Yeah.
We're very connected.
Corey, did they kick you out of the house?
I live in my car now. This is it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Is it
I
nice?
can park outside and like look in and talk to them, but I can't actually go in.
Do they let the dogs come in the car?
What?
Do they let the dogs come in the car?
They have to wear protective gear.
Oh, the first company that makes a dog hazmat suit is going to be raking
Oh
it
my
in.
God.
Emily will buy one, 100%.
100% will buy one.
She'll be the first donor to that Kickstarter.
Oh,
I will want it. Is there already a Kickstarter? There has to be. Someone has already thought about this.
for a doggy hazmat?
Yeah,
Ugh, I hope not. Anyway,
I hope so.
speaking of dogs, my big dogs, my 3 dogs here.
Sup, dog?
What's up, dog?
Dog.
We got Zimino on the horn for quarantine conversations. The highest grossing, the fastest growing YouTube series on YouTube. Did you know that?
Oh my God.
Wow.
I got a
Wow.
call
Wow.
from
Numbers.
Tom YouTube
It's-
who said that
I
this
mean, it's
it's viral.
definitely going to jump now.
Yeah.
Because you have us. So
Yeah.
obviously.
You got the email hunter from YouTube. It said viral.
You did it.
They sent an email.
It's crazy. They said you and Jenna Marbles, you guys are climbing the charts. Anyway,
I know.
I don't get YouTube.
good to see you guys virtually.
You too, man.
Ew.
We're all
So good to see
we're all
you.
in quarantine. We're all safer at home. And this is Quarantine Conversations. I just want to chat with you 3. I'm very interested to hear how the community and friendship dynamic is holding up in this season. And so maybe the first question I'll ask is, what has been the best part about having roommates, friends in quarantine?
Who wants to go first?
Emily.
What has been the best thing? I think the best thing has been my tendency, I think, is to, when I start to stress out, I like to isolate myself. And so I can't do this right now, obviously. So it's been like a growing time for me. But also it's been really, really comforting to have 3 of my best friends just living under one roof, so that when I start to spiral, I know that my community is with me and that I'm literally not alone.
Right. That's good.
I think like it's nice to it doesn't make you feel so isolated because a lot of our like regular day is the same. A lot of my schedule is familiar. And it's fun to like have more than one person to talk to you can like I'm gonna go play on the Switch with Emily, and then right now I'm gonna go puzzle with Rachel or whatever. Like it's nice to have a community. It doesn't make it feel so stagnant. I think it feels like there's like almost options about who you can hang out with.
That's rad.
Yesterday, like Emily and I were on the top floor watching some TV. Rachel and Corey were on the bottom floor doing some stuff. And it's like, it doesn't feel like you're just trapped with the same, like sameness all the time, which is good. And I think, cause this is the kind of person I am, that like one of the really good things is that it's taking us to this whole newer, deeper level of communicating because you can't just like get pissy and leave, which we don't tend to do, but like you really are trapped. So like you have to find a way to almost like over communicate your intentions and like your attitude, because otherwise everybody's kind of prickly, so it can get interpreted in a weird way. And I'm really enjoying the kind of like opportunity for us to like learn how to communicate in even better ways.
Yeah. That's fascinating. And that's a question that I've been asking everybody. Like, what do you, and we'll get to this, but like, what do you hope carries over? Like when this is all done, the quarantine thing, and we're back out in the world and things are, you know, quote, back to normal. What are some things that you guys hope retain? And deeper communication is one I've not thought of. The one that I keep thinking of is rest. And I would love to talk to you guys about that. How have you been really resting in this time? Because when we did Impact live stream last week, Mary Beth was really talking a lot about that in the chat. She was like, real rest, real Sabbath. So I'm wondering what kind of like tips and tricks do you have for those watching or listening? Like, how can you make the most of this time for rest?
I feel like you need to popcorn people, Hunter.
Mary Beth.
Mary Beth, you were called on.
You were called on.
I put myself on a schedule, especially like I put myself on a weekday schedule, not just because I'm working from home, but because I know that if I'm just like home alone with with nothing to do, I just like become a lazy, gross monster. And that builds in time for me to not be doing things. So like built into my day is some rest time, which is good. And it seems like kind of counterintuitive to like schedule rest, but I'm doing that. And a huge area of rest that I'm learning about is staying away from like my phone, staying away from like not just news consumption, but just like media consumption. Like I don't let myself be on a screen for the first hour that I'm awake. I don't let myself watch Netflix until the afternoon. That kind of stuff aside from what I need for work. And I think that I'm starting to realize that that's going to go for like social media and all of our new beautiful ways to communicate too. Cause like, it's very easy to just constantly be like making a facsimile of what I do anyway, of like always being interacting with people or always being at some event, even though now events are just all on screens.
House party.
And like that takes away from the opportunity and like accepting the invitation that I think we've been given to really learn how to be still and be like not doing things.
Right.
And not engaging our brains in all of this kind of like we have this like sensory overload thing going on. And I actually think that like the way to make room for God is through like silence. And so I've been trying to like implement those kind of practices, and it's really hard because you realize how quickly your brain just goes to freaking out.
Right.
Because there's a lot to freak out about right now, but there's always a lot to freak out about.
Yeah.
So I think
that's true.
like learning that rest is not just the absence of something happening. Like rest is a posture I have to learn how to take, and I have to actively like take every thought captive, like the Bible says, and like learn how to still my mind and create space for God to like process through things with me, rather than just like, I'm freaked out about this and I'm freaked out about that and I'm freaked out about this, to like really actually still myself. I think that's what God meant by Sabbath, is like this intentional not doing and this intentional like stilling of activity, and also of like I don't know, like mind too.
Yeah, that's great. That's a lot. That was like a sermon.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
It's a good. What about you guys up top? You guys are up top on my screen, so that's why I said that. Emily or Corey, kind of piggybacking off Mary Beth, talking about rest and being intentional about it.
Yeah, it's funny because our last off campus before the world shut off, I was talking to my girls. We had like a self-care night.
Yeah.
But specifically talking to them of the idea of like, what does self-care actually mean, being a believer? Like, what is the ultimate care that you can give yourself is actually your time with the Lord. And it was funny because I was reading them this chapter or piece of a chapter of a book. I think it's The Good and Beautiful God. And he talks about how even just sleep, like we don't sleep enough anymore. Like he said back in like the 1800s, people slept an average of 9.5 hours, and now it's less than 7.
Yeah.
And I was telling them, I'm like, it's really hard to have, to spend time with the Lord and to really truly be able to give yourself to others when you are sleep deprived. Like, as simple as that is. I mean, like, we all see you guys falling asleep in the middle of like sermons or on Wednesday nights. And it's because we just don't have a rhythm in our life of like allowing ourselves to get enough sleep. And so I've been like, I love to sleep. I'm a big sleeper anyway, but I've like been letting myself take naps and sleep in. And it's really nice because I actually feel like prepared for my day, which is crazy. And I think the other thing for me has been taking moments to almost like check in with my senses as like, okay, God, like right now I can hear the rain and I can see my little house plant and I can smell whatever's baking. And like, it sounds really silly, but it's a practice of like being present in the moment and also allowing God to say thank you for those things. Cause I feel like it's super easy to get overwhelmed with the bigness of what's going on.
Absolutely.
And I have to almost like zero myself back into like, in this moment, this is what I can see. And like, thank you, Lord, for the clouds today. Or thank you that the air is so fresh after the rain. Like taking a moment to remember and affirm like those beautiful things that are right in front of me in the moment, rather than letting myself spiral about all the bigness.
Yeah, that's great. Emily, last one.
I have nothing profound to say. I think for me, what's been interesting is that I have worked from home before and I do work from home. And so my day-to-day schedule, aside from like not going into an office, but having other people be in the office with me, my roommates, it like that has been a shift. And I think it has made me more cognizant of how I'm using my work time because I don't really stick to a like, I'm going to work from these hours to these hours, but instead I have many breaks throughout the day. And I think having my roommates here during the day has made me realize that like, I do work a lot and maybe I don't schedule enough rest time for myself. And since we are all forced into this creation of a new routine for ourselves, it's almost forcing me into keeping hours like we've all talked about. And like, these are my work hours. And what's been really nice too is that I mean, shaking up my day has been to actually schedule quiet time. Whereas in the past, it's been like in my car, on my commute, or just if I am taking my dog on a walk or whatever, like those are the times that I have like a little bit more, okay, I'm going to focus on what I'm speaking to the Lord about or whatever. And now it seems like since the scenery isn't really changing around us, that I've been having to create those moments, whereas in the past I haven't been so great about creating them. Instead I'm just finding the moments. So
that's great.
Having to be proactive with my time with the Lord and seeking that rest has been interesting. And I don't know, it can seem like a chore when it's like that, instead of just fitting God into where I want him to fit into in my life. But I don't know, I think spiritually it's been a really good discipline for me.
That's really, really profound. I don't know why you sold yourself so short there. Creating moments, not finding them. I think that's awesome. And I think that is something we'd all agree is what we want to see after this is all done, you know, beyond deeper communication, deeper patterns of rest that are more intentional and more life-giving.
Yes.
That's super good. I just learned a lot from you three. That was really, really awesome. And I want to keep these all, you know, around the relative same amount of time. So we're going to wrap it up, but I'll end by asking the question I ask everybody, and each of you, I'd love for you to answer. Maybe we start with Corey and then Corey can popcorn. But one thing you're watching, doing, reading, enjoying in quarantine that you want other people to engage with as well. Something that's helping you.
Well, if you are looking for a show to binge watch, have I got a show for you? It's Schitt's Creek,
You can't say that, Corey.
Schitt's Creek with an SCH, is hilarious and has given me so much life. Not even just in this time, but beforehand too. It's so good. It's so funny. And the other thing that we've been doing is Emily got a Switch and we started playing, I don't know if you say Carcassonne or Carcassonne.
I don't know either. I'm not a gamer.
It's like one of those ones where you like build a little land and you get points for like if you create a city or a field. It's so like slow paced that it would seem boring, but it's not, because like when you get all your points, you get so excited. Carcassonne. So
great. That sounds good. I think Mary Beth is frozen on my end. Mary Beth,
she's for sure frozen.
She's for sure frozen. Okay.
She looks so fabulous.
It's a good freeze frame. Okay, she'll come back.
Screen that I have.
She'll come back. Emily,
I guess I'll popcorn Emily.
Yeah, popcorn Emily.
Oh, popcorn me.
She's back.
In preparation for the quarantine, I did a little bit of spending and got our house a Switch.
Oh, yeah.
And I got us a bunch of games, and Steve Stout talked me into getting something called Animal Crossing, and I guess it's a big deal.
Huge deal.
I still don't really understand what I'm doing, but it's really calming, and it's just like they have this like, it's like Nintendo music, and you're like, you just feel like at peace. But that and House Party, I don't know, I feel like, and I'm sure everyone else has talked about this, I feel like we're communicating with more people than we usually do.
That comes up every time we talk. And
it's actually been really interesting. I mean, like, friendships that haven't been like the strongest in the last year plus or something, for whatever reason, we're talking to each other every day now, and it's just, I don't know, it's really cool.
Yeah, that's great. Mary Beth, anything you want to add before you get kicked off again?
I don't know why our internet hates me and not them.
Yeah, well, Corey lives in a car now, so remember that.
I'm in the car.
That's true. The network. And what I'm watching,
or just anything that's bringing you joy during quarantine.
I'm gonna start a garden.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's a great idea.
Yeah, on our rooftop. And it's the Victory Garden is the term. And it's what people used to do in World War II. They used to plant their own gardens so they didn't have to ration stuff.
Nice.
And I learned about it from one of the American Girl dolls when I was like 8.
And now's the time.
The other thing I'm doing is I'm watching all the Star Trek movies, starting with Star Trek: The Motion Picture 1979. I don't know that I necessarily recommend that, though.
Great. Well, I promise you I'm not going to engage with any Star Trek content during quarantine.
That's fine.
But thank you guys so much for jumping on and talking. Yeah, I appreciate it. Hopefully we can be together soon. But until then, keep on watching TV and playing Animal Crossing. Bye, guys.
See you on House Party.
Bye. See you on House Party.
Bye.
Bye.